I think that music, if someone is a musician, let them have a piano, let them play music. We've all heard stories about, senior centers or nursing homes where you have someone who's even in the later stages of Alzheimer's and they can get on the piano and remember songs and sing, and that part of the brain stays there. So artistic expression and creativity is in what's called the frontal or prefrontal cortex, and that doesn't get affected in the disease until way much later. So even though, I like to use what's called the handy brain to explain the brain. So you take your hand like this, and you put your thumb in, and then you fold it over. This is the brain stem. That's like instinctive brain. That's 400 million years old in evolution. This is short-term memory and emotion in the middle, limbic system. That's 100 million years old in evolution. That's what gets affected in Alzheimer's disease. Then you have the frontal cortex here. That's only 4 million years old. The disease starts here and then spreads around like this. So it doesn't get to the frontal cortex, which is your creative center, till much later in the disease. So you can stay creative and expressive for a long time, even though short-term memory is forcing you to live in the moment.
And could you talk a little bit more about that and kind of like your plan for the future for science?
Well, I've been searching for Alzheimer's genes since searching for genes was possible. So back in the 80s and 90s, I found the first 3 Alzheimer's disease genes. And that was at a time when we were just learning how to search for disease genes in general. And then today I run what's called the Alzheimer's Genome Project, which is sponsored by the Cure Alzheimer's Fund, great foundation. And we now have over 24 different genes that we know are involved in Alzheimer's disease, beyond those first ones I found. And they are explaining how different parts of the pathological process takes place. So what we understand now from the genes is that first you get what's called plaque, which is this gooey stuff that forms outside of the nerve cells of the brain, especially in that middle part, short-term memory part. And then those plaques cause the nerve cells to create inside them what are called tangles, these twisted filaments that kill the nerve cell from within. So some of the genes affect that process. And then as the nerve cells start dying because of these tangles that are choking them, there's what's called inflammation in the brain, an inflammatory process. And most of the new genes we're finding now control inflammation. So one of our big focus we have now is to stop the plaques, the tangles, and the inflammation using these different sets of genes we found that influence each of those pathologies. And I would say if someone has Alzheimer's right now, then the plaques and the tangles kind of did their job already. It's mainly inflammation that's hurting them, and you really have to stop the inflammation. And luckily, the newest genes we have are telling us how to do that. So that's a big focus in my lab.